Okay, so I'm ready to reinstall the headset. I've cleaned up everything as best as I can, and I feel like this headset is still very usable. To install the headset cups properly, you need a headset press like this. You don't want any water getting in between those. And I've got my bottom cup and my top cup. Goes on like that. So I'm just going to slowly start pressing these cups together. You just want to make sure everything's going in straight. It's kind of hard to go wrong with a good headset press like this. Looks good. Once the cups are properly pressed in, we are going to put the bearings in. Those bearings go right on there like that. And you want to protect those bearings. You want to fill it all the way around with grease. Also have the top down facing cup. I'm going to put some grease in that. This goes on top like that. And we start threading 32mm headset wrench. Try to do it with my hand as much as possible to speed things up. So you don't want to over tighten this. You want it to spin freely. I have this cable hanger that's much nicer than the one that came on the bike, which was just this one. So I'm going to try to use this nicer one. But we also need threads for the top cap. And by threads I mean enough threads to get this top nut on. Might have to go with this original cable hanger. The top nut can compress the bottom one to the point where you need to loosen it a little bit. That's much better. You may need to back out the cup nut before tightening the lock nut, because the lock nut can compress. You're steering too much. It's nice and smooth. Looks good. The other day I rebuilt the rear hub, cleaned off the cassette, and I think I just want to fit these wheels on here. I'm interested in how everything's going to size up for me. Kind of interested in whether the quill adapter that I got, that I'll show you in a minute, is going to get my handlebar high enough. It's possible I might need another one. So right now I'm just putting some grease on the cassette body. If you don't use grease on all these parts, when you get the bike together and you start riding it, you may hear creaks. Got my park cassette nut here. Get that snug. Got my skewer for my rear wheel. Spread that along. Move these springs out of the way. So I can try to show you that clearance. Side to side. Definitely looks tight here on camera. But, well, I'm going to try it. See that? And then from the tire to the chainstay brace there, that's probably where it's the tightest. I'm going to call that 3mm, maybe 4mm. Pan Racer Gravel King brand new. Great tires. This is the 700 by 43 SS, which is semi-slick, I believe the SS stands for. I've got the SKs on my Jones, the 700 by 50, and they're just awesome tires. But those have a bit of a knob on them. Here's the Jones over here. There's the SKs 700 by 50. Definitely a pretty pronounced tread pattern. And this SS has a pretty nice file center strip on it. That should be pretty fast. Pretty nice. Front wasn't as bad as the rear. Some really light corrosion on the spokes. Put a little more air in this tube. Helps to aid the installation. And generous talc helps avoid pinch flats. So I put talc on the inside of the tire, and I put talc all over the inner tube. And I've just got leftover baby powder from when the kids were babies. Actually, I probably have a lifetime supply of it. I'm using these tubes that came with the bike to begin with, but I'll probably put some nice lighter Schwab SV 17s or 19s Presta valves to drop the weight a little bit. There we go. These Gravel Kings mount up really easy. Let's see how this tire seats on this front rim. Just put a little air in it. I just want to make sure that this tire is seating evenly around the wheel. Basically with the rear I had to fill it up to about 40 pounds of pressure and just leave it overnight and then deflate it, and then I could get the tire to seat evenly around the rim. Yeah, it's pretty lumpy. We'll fix that. Plenty of clearance on the front. Not too worried about that. It's always the rear. Nice, very nice. There it is with the bars and the saddle. The saddle's set to my height of 76 centimeters. The bar top is just maybe 5 millimeters below the height of my saddle, so I think that's going to work pretty good. Probably turn the bars down a little bit more, but yeah, it's looking pretty good. I think the frame fits really good. I like how there's only like a fistful of seat posts showing. Let's see, I bought a new, well, not a new, an old X-Age 500 LX triple Shimano crank set today on eBay. So that's probably going to take about a week to get here. I've got a front derailleur coming. In the meantime, I can rebuild the rear derailleur, which is in pieces right there. Install the bottom bracket and the brakes. I can work on the brakes. Brakes are over here. Yeah, plenty to do, but progress is being made. This Suntour SR crankset came on the bike, and it's not too nice. It's really heavy. The chain rings are all made out of stamped metal, and it's kind of ugly, so I wasn't too into it. And I found this Shimano X-Age 500 LX, which as far as I can tell is just a rebadged Dior LX crankset. It has 24, 36, 46 chain rings. Perfect. It's got my preferred 170 millimeter crank arm length. I'm a little older, so I like spinning circles. I don't need that much leverage, and my Jones has 170 millimeter cranks on it too, so really happy to find this. I now have basically everything I need to build the bike up. I've got a new stem coming, but I'll be able to test it with the stem that's on it. I'm gonna do some brake cabling today, maybe some shifter cables. Adjust this brake pad a little bit. Much better. Yesterday I got the brakes all set up. I had to replace a bunch of spokes on the bunch being like 4, because as I was truing the rear wheel, I could only get, some of the spokes would not turn without twisting and braking because the nipples were seized to the spokes. So I replaced 4 spokes on this rear wheel, but I got the brakes all working nice. It's nice SRAM brake levers. Real excited to ride this bike. That's the new stem that came yesterday. Ritchie comp stem. 30-degree rise, 120 millimeter length, and now this 1-inch threaded to 1 1/8 stem adapter is nice and low, installed properly. With the other stem, it was too high. It was out past its max height. So now everything's good. The bar is nice and level with the saddle. It's gonna be really comfortable. Ritchie Venture Max handlebar. And these are the micro shifters that I'm gonna put cables on now for the front derailleur and rear derailleur. For bar end shifters, you wanna make sure you have your housings cut to the exact same length, so that you don't get any weird no hands pulling in one direction when you're riding no hands. Plus it just looks good. Here it is. First shakedown. Feels great. Haven't had to change anything except the saddle height a little bit. No problems, no issues. Crankset's great. Everything works great. Brakes are fine. Tires are great. Bike feels fast. Cockpit is awesome.